Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action. Brought to you by Hercules Tires.
Pace car is on.
Now here are your hosts, Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Green flag, green flag.
Welcome to another edition of Motorsports Monday. And then the round of 16 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is in the books. We have 4 drivers that have been eliminated. More on that in just a moment. But we now know who the final 12 will be on the Sprint Cup side. That is still to be determined who will advance and who will not in the Xfinity and the Camping World Truck Series side. Don't forget, we're sponsored by Outback Steakhouse, where Kevin Harvick did not get a top 10 finish. Don't forget to race into Outback Steakhouse today. But you can get their lunch menu starting at $6.99. The Joey menu, which he thinks is all about him. Really, it's for kids. You can try their brand new center cut sirloin, their new app. All fantastic stuff going on at Outback Steakhouse. Kevin Harvick did not get a top 10 finish because of a part problem. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Outback Steakhouse done right. Tell them you heard about him on Motorsports Monday. How about that?
Got to buy your own bloomin' onion this week. So
Yeah.
Get your wallet out.
Although
get a
it's
appetizer, get your center cut sirloin for lunch.
It's
Enjoy
hard
it.
to complain because he's given us a ton of free bloomin' onions this
They've
year.
done a good job of increasing your caloric intake during
Yeah.
a weekly basis during this
Ooh,
2016
That's a nice
season.
one. Yeah, caloric intake, huh?
like
Look
that.
at you go.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty fantastic. But anyway, check them out. The lunch menu is fantastic. Check them out, even though Kevin Harvick didn't get a top 10 finish, and earn you a free bloomin' onion. The guy who did win it, Martin Truex Jr., boy, have they come on toward the end of the season here. They've had a good year, but now they're paying off those wins that they maybe didn't get earlier in the season.
We've seen this show before. It was just a different episode, but it's the same exact show earlier in the year at the Coke 600 where he clearly dominated. It was a class of the field. Yesterday, he was okay. He lapped everybody up to 6th place. So it was a dominating performance by the Denver-based team. And, again, if they can keep that going and execute the way they do, the performance has been there all year long. A lot like we had picked earlier, or I specifically picked Kyle Larson as the sleeper in the field, and unfortunately he had mechanical failures, but he was running good. Their performance was good, and that's what we've seen from Martin Truex Jr. all year long. They've had great performance. They just need to execute like they did yesterday, and by the end of Homestead, he's going to be holding a trophy.
He may be if they keep going this way. Keep in mind, he only had 3 career wins coming into this season.
Right.
Yesterday was his 4th of
the
2016.
That's it.
Boy, that is really not edging it up a notch or 12.
You know, one of the tracks that he always likes to perform at, and he's on an unusual situation from Marietta, New Jersey, is he considers Dover, Watkins Glen, Loudon, New Hampshire, all of his home tracks, but Dover's really one of his favorites. I was very privileged to be on that team in 2007 for him to get his first Cup victory at Dover, and it was a cool thing. He went out and bought everybody trophies. So it's been from.
Did they look like this?
No, they were the actual full size.
The
big
whole
one.
miles,
Yep.
the full miles.
Exactly right. So he gave all the team trophies back in 2007, and since then, you figure it's 2016. He hasn't had a victory since. 07. So kudos to those guys. Him and Sherry Pollux are having a great year. Cole Pern, the crew chief, of course, they get to experience multiple victories. Like you said, four this year, and he only had 3 previous in his entire career. So they've really hit on something. After a manufacturer change and going from Chevrolet to Joe Gibbs Racing, everybody expected him to stutter a little bit, and man, oh man, whatever they used last year for the Chevrolets is picked right up, and they're outperforming the company that they're getting their cars from.
Yeah.
So that's an unusual deal. We saw that. We've seen that in the past when the 4-car went and got cars from Hendrick Motorsports, and them and Rodney Childress were able to perform better than who was providing their cars. So it's a lot of, I don't say jealousy, but they're just going, hey, like Kyle Busch said, we know our cars are good.
Yeah.
Because we're getting beat by them.
Well, how many times on this show and even in the garage or anywhere around the sport have you heard people, teams, drivers, crew chiefs say it's all about the people?
Yep.
And they're showing it now. They've got good people in good spots, and everybody's clicking together. Martin Truex Jr., after he won at Dover, spoke with MRN Radio from Victory Lane. Here's what it sounded like.
You won 2 races in this segment. What does that say about this race team and your confidence going into the next segment?
I can't even believe it, man. I mean, it's just It's just living a dream right now. It's a fairy tale. I don't even know what to say. I mean, all the credit goes to these guys, Cole and Jazzy, and, oh, man, everybody at TRD, the engine shop. I mean, just a dream come true, man. We got it going on right now, and we got confidence. We got fast race cars. The guys are making the right decisions, and paid off for us today.
When you look at the next segment, you've got the wild card, but you've also got the track where you dominated in Charlotte and you led the most laps in Kansas. So how do you feel about this next segment?
I feel great. I mean, I think we can go win the next two and not have to worry about Talladega, but you never know. I mean, it's you got to take it 1 week at a time. These races are difficult. You never know what's going to happen. You know, we've seen with 48 today, one speeding penalty took him out of it, and, you know, he had a really strong car. I felt like we were real equal, and whoever was out front was going to be the guy to beat. So, fortunately, we just crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and we had a great race car, and we took care of it and did all the right things today.
There you go, Martin Truex Jr. with the victory. And that means, Joey, let's go to the big board. There are 2,477.58 miles to Miami left before we get to the finale and determine a champion. There you see the way it'll look with the reseed. Martin Truex Jr. on top, and seeding, as we discussed a moment ago before we came on the air, really means not much at this point except for if there's a rain out in qualifying or where you situate yourself in the garage.
That's it. When we start the second round, we're either tied for first, yay, or tied for last, boo. So it all depends on your optimism of the day. But essentially right now we're sitting right in the middle at 7th with Brad Keselowski. We see everybody has 3,000 points. If it rains out, we'll start P7, but that's the only time it really matters. And
you guys were able to take advantage of that this
last weekend. But that was done by points, so we were actually running well enough to be P1 in points. So we did start on the pole with the preferred pole position pit road selection. But other than that, it's qualifying and how we park in the garage. So it's a little bit of bragging rights. So we'll park our cars in the 7th spot after the reseeding. So that's really after that. Then when the next 3 races, we'll go with points on how we park and things of that nature. But good effort, I thought. A good effort, I thought. Top 5 finishes in all 3 races for the 2-car. We were very consistent, very conservative, I thought, in our approach to these races, and it paid off with 3 top 5 finishes.
All right, that means 4 drivers out of the field of 16 have been eliminated. Tony Stewart's quest to get a championship in his final season comes to an end at Dover. Also, Chris Buescher is eliminated after the storybook season he had at Front Row. And then the 2 Ganassi cars, something of a surprise that at least one of them didn't move on. Mechanical issues for Jamie McMurray, also some issues for Kyle Larson Racing. Kyle spoke with MRN after the race as well.
Round 2, Kyle, tough day here at the Monster Mile. Put into perspective the way the afternoon went.
I guess kind of my whole stock car career kind of piled up into the first 50 laps there with bad luck, and had a battery issue, and then we had too many men over the wall. We'd probably been all right if we didn't have too many men over the wall, just because we only lost a lap getting the battery back going good, and then I had to do the drive-through and lost another 2 laps. So once you get down more than 1 lap, really, you're kind of screwed here. And we just kept fighting, and I mean, not really, I guess fighting, but there wasn't much we could do. I know we have the speed to have made it past a couple more rounds, but my typical luck, I guess, it just doesn't work out.
One of the guys who squeaked through, if you want to call it that, and was racing for that last spot along the way was Austin Dillon with Richard Childress Racing. He's going to be the guest on NASCAR Live Tuesday night at 7 Eastern, but we're actually doing the interview with him a little bit earlier on Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Fans can call in with their questions then, 800-262-7227. Also, you can tweet your questions. Use that Ask MRN hashtag. Austin Dillon, the guest on NASCAR Live Tuesday night, but we'll record at 1:30 Eastern on Tuesday as well if you'd like to have a question or a chance to ask Austin Dillon something heading into the round of 12 in the Sprint Cup Series.
Yeah, again, we have Cinderella stories. Chris Buescher initially getting in, and now we have Austin Dillon moving forward. You have to be there to compete, and they compete at a level to take advantage of other people's problems. Unusual characteristically failures with Chip Ganassi Racing in both of the 42 and the 1. Heartbreaking for those guys. They had good seasons. Again, McMurray was consistent throughout the year to be able to get in the chase. Hadn't led 1 lap. And we saw that a couple years back. Ryan Newman didn't win one race, almost was crowned the champion, finished second.
Right.
So unusual circumstance for those guys.
All right, got a big show coming up for you here on Motorsports Monday. We will, of course, go on track, off track, and talk about some things that are good and bad in the sport. We'll also look ahead to Charlotte Motor Speedway coming up this weekend as well and tell you about breast cancer awareness. That's why we've got the pink hats there. But next, we'll talk some truck racing. The winner from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Tyler Reddick, will join us.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
Stay up to date with the latest news from the NASCAR Garage, weekdays on NASCAR Today, midday.
We can enhance the fans' experience, and I think that's what we really need to zero in on and provide.
Hear from the drivers and teams as they chase the 2016 championship trophy.
Change is good in our sport. It re-energizes people, makes everybody, step up to the plate, so to speak.
NASCAR Today, midday, weekdays on the Motor Racing Network, your source for NASCAR news.
I'm Ryan Blaney, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with championship spotter Joey Meyer and Woody Kane. Had world-class Joey Meyer. I don't want to say that. It's on radio. You guys need to use that.
Take two.
To MRN Motorsports Monday with championship spotter and adequate pilot Joey Meyer and Woody Kane.
Corey Richardson waves the white flag from the starter stand. 1 lap to go here in Las Vegas. Tyler Reddick has a 1-second lead over Daniel Hemrick back in 1.
He's been one of the strongest trucks all night long. Tyler Reddick round to the bottom white line, kicks the truck up into the next groove, sets sail down the back straightaway for the final time.
And Daniel Hemrick not close enough to challenge unless Reddick makes a mistake here into turn number 3, guides that truck smoothly down to the bottom of turns number 3 and 4. Tyler Reddick onto the front stretch for the final time.
Daniel Hemrick did everything he possibly could, but he just couldn't catch his teammate, Tyler Reddick, who takes the checkered flag. Tyler Reddick wins at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
There you see Tyler Reddick celebrating after the big victory at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Saturday, or rather Saturday evening it was. It was a little bit earlier than normal, but Kyle, Ricky, Buddy Long, Dylan Welch, Dan Hubbard with the call there. And the winner joins us on the guest line now, Tyler Reddick from Brad Keselowski Racing. Tyler, congratulations, man. I know that had to be a relief for you guys to get that victory and have such a strong truck all night long.
Yeah, no doubt. It really was. It was really cool to have Cooper Standard bring on the Manufacturing Day initiative and that be its first race and get a win right out of the gate with those guys. So we're going to have them on truck all October long, pushing manufacturing months. And here this week we'll be in South Carolina at a university talking to kids about Manufacturing Day, meeting kids at college, the 5th and 6th too. So it's all good timing for those guys pushing their new deal and hopefully just be able to spread the word about manufacturing and letting a lot of these students know that it's a great opportunity to expand and make a good living.
It's your third opportunity to show up for Las Vegas in a Team BKR truck, and I appreciate the efforts you've had the last 3 years. You've gotten better every year, but it's one of those unusual circumstances where you practice in the day and race at night. What challenges did you have during the day that you had to work on?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I really didn't know how we were going to be going into the race. We were very tight through most of practice, really struggled getting across the bumps. But Doug Randolph, Robert, all the guys did a great job of turning our truck around and finding out how to get across those bumps. So when we got into the race and the track freed up quite a bit, we were pretty spot on. It was a lot of fun to come from 16th back to lead there. And I don't know, it was somewhere around 30 laps. That was a lot of fun for us, and I'm sure all the guys love to see all that speed in the truck there that first run, and we were able to really manage our track position pretty well from that point on, and we were able to stay up front all night long.
Tyler, I want to ask you about a dynamic that I've heard several drivers talk about. When we start these races in the dusk and then it gets cooler at night, a lot of guys say, well, it may start off loose, hot, and greasy and then tighten up as the night goes on. Other guys say, no, not necessarily. It will just magnify whatever condition you have, whether it's loose or tight. Have you found something that's standard in that time frame, or is it just based on the track itself?
I think it depends on the track, but for us in the truck series, most of the time, I'd say that when the track cools down, the grip levels come up, so the vehicles get freer. And to me, it really appeared that quite a number of people were fighting that. But we were, as tight as we were in practice, it actually was perfect for us rolling into the race. Me and Daniel both, we were pretty good on that first run, and like I said, we just hit it just right. We obviously didn't qualify very good. I think the wind was blowing around quite a bit. And unfortunately, I think we could have made it to the last round, but I think the wind was just blowing the wrong way for us when we qualified, and it put us as far back as what we were when we started the race.
Well, one of the questions that always gets asked in a situation like this, and we saw it a couple weeks ago in the truck series at Michigan, when Red Horse teammates were battling for the lead, and one teammate had to move forward to get in the chase, and the other teammate was actually filling in for the 11 truck for Matt Tifft. So here you are, you're leading the race, and you know the guy behind you is not only your teammate, but he's in the chase for the truck championship, and he needs to win. Does that thought go through your mind, or is it simply racing as hard as you can?
I was definitely thinking about it every lap, and it's tough. You know, you really want to win yourself. You also know back there's your teammate, and he's trying to do everything he can to win the race too. But, you know, in that situation, it's so hard to win races at any level in NASCAR, and you just never know when that opportunity could come back around for you. So, you know, we had to make the most of it. I knew Daniel wouldn't want me to just pull over and let him win the race. He wouldn't. I don't think he would appreciate that either. So, you know, it's just a situation that got put forth. Fortunately, both BKR trucks were really fast. Unfortunately, we were both fighting for the win, and Daniel obviously really could have used the win there to get in the next round. But we're going to Talladega, and if there's one thing you can do at Talladega, that's help a teammate. And I can promise you that he's going to be getting a lot of help from me, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing Joey 29's behind you, come with the push, hopefully all day long.
I hope I can be saying that all night long. It'd be great to be able to push those trucks across victory lane 1-2. Hey, as we move forward now, you get a little bit of time off. What do you guys do in your downtime?
Well, obviously, we're going to do everything we can to try and well, you guys know it's really hard to have any sort of plan going into these plate races because they change lap to lap. Everything does about them. So obviously going in, understanding who the players are, what people are on the bubble, you could say, for the cutoff point in this round of the chase, understand who we need to race really hard and who we can try and work together with when we get to Talladega. So a lot of planning, but as you know, you can plan as much as you want sometimes going into Talladega, and it doesn't do any good because race changes really fast. So hopefully we do everything we can. I know that myself and Austin Cindric will hopefully be doing everything we can to help Daniel have a good finish.
Tell us a little more about the dynamic of the chase this year, because this is the first time it's been in the Camping World Truck Series. You have a teammate in it. You guys, when you're debriefing after practices and that type of thing, are you talking about, you know, how I can help or how you can help your teammate move along, or do you more worried from your perspective of not interfering with another guy in the chase?
You know, obviously, all year long, me and Daniel try and do everything we can to help each other, so that's not really going to change much. Obviously, more so this week, more so coming up at Talladega, you know, all the focus on our team ends and his own is trying to get him in the next round. So, yeah, you know, our focus won't be as much on trying to win, but more so trying to help Daniel and myself have a good finish. So it's going to be all about teamwork, and it's, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't always work out like you want it to, you know. There's been some races where the two BKR trucks have worked together, gotten two all race long, and then there's been other situations where we've wanted to work together but never could find each other throughout the whole course of the whole race. It's just tough when you got 30 other trucks out there all trying to get to the front. It's sometimes hard to get paired up with your teammate. But
and they don't care a lick about your plans.
No, none of them do. They all got a plan of their own too. So we just got to be aware of the situation going in and make the most of it that what we can, and hopefully it'll all work out in the end.
You know, we have 5 races left in 2016, but a lot of teams are already looking forward to 2017. Are you ready or prepared to announce your plans for 2017?
I don't know what's in store for next year yet. Obviously I'm not running for the championship. Daniel is. But there's still plenty of races left to be won. Obviously, Talladega, I would much rather Daniel win that race. It would lock him into the next round and get him to the next round. So, this next race is going to be more so about Daniel and trying to help him get to the next round. Much as I would love to win at Talladega, it's more important to try and think bigger picture. So, do everything I can to win the race. If Daniel's not up there, if something happens to him early in the goings, no doubt. But it's going to be all about teamwork and trying to help get a BKR truck to Homestead.
One of the things we've seen all year long is a dominance from another manufacturer, and we're kind of I'm not going to say a stepchild, but as the Ford trucks, we're kind of on an island a little bit over at Team BKR. But unusual, you guys were able to dominate that race. Is that something Team BKR and Fords have been working on throughout the year?
Yeah, it was really great to have the Ford support all the way out in Las Vegas. I knew there's some it's a track out there, but it was really great to have them out there giving us help this past weekend. It really paid off, being able to know where our truck's at on the racetrack. So that was huge. I really appreciate Ford going all the way out there for us. I know it's a big deal for those guys to travel all the way out there, and it really meant a lot, and it helped a lot in practice and in the race, having them out there, being there and giving us support. So I was really thankful for that. And obviously, there's me and Daniel are going to do everything we can to have our Fords running up front, and Talladega is going to be another race where don't know what's going to happen.
Nobody knows what's going to happen. That's kind of what makes it fun, right? And Tyler, before we let you go, tell the folks again what you got going on this week to promote manufacturing. I know you've got a month's worth of stuff coming up, but some events this week, right?
Yeah, we're going to South Carolina. The college down there are going to be spending time with a lot of students, meeting people. But Cooper Standard's got behind this manufacturing day deal, and they're pushing it pretty hard. They're just trying to get more people in, more of these students, and interested in manufacturing. It's not quite the job that I think a lot of people think it is. There's a lot of technology behind it nowadays, a lot of state-of-the-art equipment that a lot of these kids will get to work on if they choose to work in manufacturing in it. And obviously, it's a job. It's a job that is in high demand right now, and they need good, hardworking people. So I think it's definitely an opportunity. If people decide they want to do it, they're going to make a great living at it. And just place it down there and help meet some of the students and talk to them about it. And it's going to be a fun week down there, and it'll be interesting to meet all those people.
Sounds fantastic, man. It's a good effort, good cause for sure, and congratulations on a dominating win out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we'll look forward to catching up with you at Talladega.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Congrats, Tyler. Good job.
Tyler Reddick, the winner at Las Vegas, the driver, the Cooper Standard Ford. And, boy, you're right. There are only a couple of Fords on the whole circuit in the Truck Series. I mean, there's some guys who are running some older equipment, but as far as the top-flight teams, it's really only Brad Keselowski Racing.
When you break down, there's 3 manufacturers in the Camping World Truck Series. We have Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford. Chevrolet not only has multiple trucks, and I say Ford, but they have multiple teams with multiple trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Toyota's in the same condition. They have Red Horse, KBM, multiple trucks with multiple teams. ThorSport, exactly. Mm-hmm. So now when we go over to the Ford camp, the old Blue Oval, man, we're carrying the banner strong. We got 2 trucks, 19 to 29. We compete week in, week out. We're always right there at the cusp of victory lane. But when you only have 2 teams gathering data and you are competing against 8 to 10 to 12 teams gathering data, you don't have to be a rocket surgery person to figure out that.
Wait, what? Rocket surgery? That's a word of the day. That's a phrase of the day for sure right there.
You don't have to be a scientist to figure out that the numbers simply outweigh the numbers. 10's bigger than 2. You're going to collect data at a racetrack at a much faster pace. 1 is less than 2, 2 is less than 10. There you are. I'm a genius. So as a truck team with Ford and having our manufacturer involved, it's imperative that they're involved for us to be successful. This was one of the not first weekends they've been involved, but one of the first weekends we can hang our hat at Team BKR and say this was in conjunction with our manufacturer, and that's why we were successful. The guys at the shop, they get quoted. The guys at the shop are always working their guts out, but we can only work in a direction with intelligent information, and that information is provided by Ford. And this weekend was the culmination of that.
Absolutely it is. All right, we got to take another time out here on Motorsports Monday. On track, off track is on the other side. A little bit later on, we'll look at some breast cancer awareness activities at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where the Xfinity Series and the Sprint Cup Series head this weekend. It's all still ahead on Motorsports Monday. You can play along as well with us on Twitter. Just use that hashtag AskMRN. Back with more after this.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, check out Slingin' Dirt with David and Ashley Strim. They talk with dirt late model, dirt modified, and UMP modified drivers from all over America. Join David and Ashley on MRN.com, the MRN app, and YouTube as they give you the news, results, and their opinions of dirt track racing, plus interviews with the biggest race winners and newsmakers from New York to California and all dirt tracks in between. Slingin' Dirt Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, the MRN app, and MRN.com.
I'm Landon Castle, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Mayer, and Woody Kane. Yes. And you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Mayer and Woodward Kane. Those guys, is this a country? This is a country band, isn't it?
Woody's Roundup, come on and gather round. Woody's Roundup, where nobody wears a frown. Bad guys go running whenever he's in town. He's a rootin'est, tootin'est, shootin'est, hootin'est cowboy.
White flag will be displayed this time for Martin Truex Jr. 1 to go. It's a Credit One Bank. 1 to go. Martin Truex Jr. on his way to a win at Dover.
Final time through turns 1 and 2. A jaw-dropping performance for Furniture Row Racing. He has brought the field and Miles the Monster to its knees. Here's Martin Truex Jr. standing tall in the saddle, headed for the checkered flag.
Ready to race for a championship? You bet. He has done it again here at the Monster Mile. Crossed the start-finish line under the checkered flag, and Martin Truex Jr. is a winner once again.
Joe Moore, Mike Bagley, and Jeff Striegel from Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile. Another sticker on the car for Martin Truex Jr. They have it going on here as they surge into round number 2. But remember, a year ago, a guy named Joey Logano swept the whole round, and it couldn't get him to a championship.
Yeah, welcome to Woody's Roundup, in case you're wondering.
I like that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's kind of catchy. Yeah. See that?
How do you know my name?
Everyone knows your name, Woody.
They let you slide on Word of the Day and then
done.
Bust me on that.
Well, that's what we have fans for.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of fans, the questions are starting to come in now at hashtag AskMRN, MRN Radio. Mine is at WY Kane. His is at 2, the number 2 spotter, if you'd like to play along with us on Motorsport Monday. But now it's time for the segment of the show we call On Track, Off Track, where we talk about some things that are going well in the world of motorsports and some things that maybe aren't going quite so well. Joey, let's start with you. What's on track?
Earlier in the year, there was a scheduled doubleheader at Atlanta. We had the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series play together in the same afternoon. Fans got to show up and watch 2 fantastic races. For any of our fans that go to the races, they most likely show up at a short track and they see multiple events throughout the afternoon. So these double headers are a really good idea.
New Hampshire's a good mention of that as well.
Exactly right. We have multiple events in one day. So this weekend at Dover, not only did we have a bad rain delay on Friday, but on Saturday, but then we had a double header on Sunday, allowed the fans to show up, have an Xfinity race in the morning at 10, They kept all the Xfinity fans there. The tickets were good for the show, and the Cup race in the afternoon. But one of the things I thought was really cool, and one of the complaints we always hear about, is Cup guys in the Xfinity race, and it's ruining the series, and we have the Kyle Busch syndrome.
Don't forget, rah, rah, rah,
Exactly
yeah.
right. But here's the deal, and one of those things that I thought about, not only was the doubleheader a really good deal for fans, but it got a lot of the Cup drivers out of that race.
Right.
Because they didn't want to pursue running both races in 600 miles. But also, if we were to schedule an Xfinity race during a Cup driver meeting during the Xfinity race, that would put a little more pressure on these Cup guys because they're not going to want to run the Xfinity race and then have to start at the rear for missing the drivers meeting.
Particularly in the chase at the end of the year.
Exactly
here. Yeah.
right. On Saturday, we saw one driver, at actually two. We had Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon, had a 5-minute gap to go from the drivers meeting to the Cup race, and it was very, very quickly. They didn't have a very limited amount of time to get between the two, because the Cup driver meeting was going on right after the Xfinity drive. So it was a very timely manner. So not only was the doubleheader a really good idea, but it might be a foreshadowing of a solution to get the Cup drivers away from that Xfinity series.
And without creating some sort of artificial barrier that
Exactly
seems
right.
like we hear calls for repeatedly.
Right, they're allowed to run the race, but you're going to miss
Right.
the drivers meeting. The
Right.
scheduling won't allow it, but you can still run the race. I don't think the pressure is enough to start at the rear of a Cup race with the
Yeah.
competition level, and that might alleviate. We saw 3 drivers, namely Joey Logano, we saw Kurt Busch, and Regan Smith substituted for. Help me out.
Who was the other? Was it
Anybody at the show? Anybody in the background? Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon.
Okay, so there we have. So he was able to substitute. So 3 drivers pulled out from the Xfinity race because they were too included or too busy with the Cup race. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't say it very eloquently, but that's
no,
not
but
my
I get
job.
what you mean, and I like this whole thing too. See the in and out. That really makes it hit home. I like that as well. Mine is right along the same lines with you. Kudos to the Dover staff for making that happen, because they could easily have said, okay, after the Xfinity race, we're going to wait. We're going to clear the grandstands. You're going to have to get out. You didn't buy a Cup ticket. They instead said, nope, everybody can stay, but the Cup ticket takes precedence for a reserved seat. You can't squat in somebody's reserved seat for the Cup race. But I think that's cool in an era where everybody's looking for more value. It makes people more willing to come back in the future and try things along the way, that I think is a big help. And you see it in a lot of sports where doubleheaders come up. Nope, got to get out for the after the first one to make room for the folks coming in for the second. Good move by them. A lot of positive publicity I saw around social media on the decision that the track made to allow everybody to participate in that. Now, let's move to the other end of the spectrum. What's not going quite so well? Off track for you.
You know, this year, some of the best racing has been the Camping World Truck Series, and I think when you're trying to expand an audience, I think you really need to second-guess the scheduling of a standalone event on the West Coast. One of the things they did do is started close to 2 hours earlier for this weekend's event. But on the East Coast, during college time and the time frame that we had Saturday night prime time, an 8:45 green flag for a standalone Camping World Truck race, I don't think is a really good, efficient idea to try to draw in, and I'm using my hands again. You
See, I like that.
Yeah, trying to draw in your audience when you've actually taken a smaller event, smaller series, 31 trucks, to the West Coast, and you're putting it in prime time at 8:45 on a Saturday. I think you really narrow down your audience that we're trying to grasp. I'm not sure it's a great idea. I'd like to see, because I know myself, I was on the East Coast time after a late night with the Xfinity race. It was just a difficult time for me personally, being a monster race fan and having our own radio show and having to come in and talk about it. I had a reason to watch the race, not only that I want to, but I wanted to for business purposes, right? But it makes it very difficult for the casual fan to stay up till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night watching a truck race. I just don't think it's the prime audience.
No, I don't disagree with you on that perspective. My only note would be these schedules, as you know now, are set for, 5-6 year plans,
Sure.
so they're kind of locked in. And I agree wholeheartedly that I think the Truck Series belongs back on more of the short tracks that they were on when they first came up. But you run into problems with they don't have the safer barriers, and they have to do that at the track's expense. Also, the sanctioning fees are prohibitive in some cases. Look at what happened at Rockingham. You had a full house hanging from the rafters that first year. They barely make any kind of profit at all. The next year, a great crowd, not quite a sellout. They lose money on it. It's a very difficult environment in which to make that work financially now for a lot of tracks, and I think it's a situation where they did the best they could. They compromised by moving the race 2 hours earlier. Otherwise, you're looking at a 10:30 East Coast start for a truck race, and that is problematic.
Yeah, it didn't work out the year before, and I'm glad they did make the adjustment. I'd like to keep seeing the adjustment made. Either A, get rid of the standalones, or B, keep reducing or making the start times earlier.
But when we don't have the standalones, when they're companion events, for example, then we get back to what you said a minute ago. People, we got to keep these Cup guys out of these races, and they're ruining the world.
We've seen the Truck Series actually do a really good job of that. Kyle's only run 3 or 4 races this year. And the Truck Series, the Cup guys haven't really invaded the Truck Series as easily as the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our Chase Grid standings, guys have won. It was a really good. In fact, it was one of the best Chase Grids referencing Cup guys invading the Xfinity or Truck Series, I thought.
Yeah, being there, though, I will say this. It did look like a significantly better crowd at Las Vegas Motor Speedway than they've had in past years, and I think the earlier time had something to do with that. For me, off-track is going to be something that we heard several drivers mention on Friday at Dover, the lack of drama in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup this year. In the past, we've seen fights. We've seen guys pushing and shoving. We've seen guys knocking each other into the wall. We don't see that this year. It's just been racing, but I think there's a little bit of an edge lacking, and I don't know why it is or if it's just circumstantial what we had last year that led to some of the incidents that we saw, but it doesn't seem like there's been that edge, and maybe it's just the first round situation of it, because I'm sure you've heard this too. A lot of guys are saying in that first round, I don't want to do anything crazy. I just want to get through it and let a few guys eliminate themselves via mistakes. But there has been, compared to past years, a relative lack of drama so far in the chase.
Well, much like my infamous word of the day, we don't plan on drama. I don't plan on a word of the day. It's just how my mind works, and it comes out and it spews out something stupid. Drama happens the same way. The drivers aren't planning on to create drama. Every driver, there's 40 in the field, has their own plan. They have their own setup that they're going to run for the whole race. Now, I know that certain drivers in this first round, just like you mentioned, they're just simply not looking to make mistakes. In golf, they call it laying up. They take the easy shot.
Right.
And you don't have to be spectacular or wear a cape with an S on the front of your shirt to get through this first round, but you can't have mistakes. And we saw Jimmy Johnson make a couple of mistakes, and because other teams made bigger mistakes, he was able to move forward. If he makes those mistakes moving forward, he's going to be the guy not moving,
much less margin for error going forward.
Exactly right. So it is definitely a reason to have your plan set forth these first 3 races, and that's going to make the less drama. When Brad and Kyle get around each other, they're like, this is the first round. I don't need to beat and bang on this guy now. And they're going to which Kyle would never let anybody go. Brad would never let each other go if it was down to Homestead and coming to the checkered flag. But realistically, whether we finish 3rd or 4th at Dover really doesn't matter once you get to Homestead.
Maybe intensity is a better choice of words. Maybe intensity, and maybe, as you mentioned, it's just a function of strategy based on what they've learned in years past to not push the envelope in this first round in particular.
We've seen some mistakes in the Xfinity Series done by the younger drivers with less experience. We've seen the Eric Joneses and the Dillons get into a wreck that it didn't need to happen.
Right.
And so now we see guys, we see the Brads, the Carvicks, the Kyle Bushes of the world, the Matt Kenseth, all those guys are very experienced past champions.
They've been through this and learned.
Exactly right. Yeah. They know it's still a long road in front of us, but we have to get to the end of the road at that intersection before we can move forward. If we don't ever get there, we can never move forward.
Absolutely. We've got a lot more coming up here on MRN Motorsports Monday. Before we do that, though, let me get one Twitter question here. We had a moment ago Tyler Reddick on, and Zach Copeland wants to know, does BKR have a driver lined up to replace Daniel Hemrick, who, as we know, is headed to go full-time in the Xfinity Series at Richard Childress Racing next year? Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I know there are a pool of drivers that BKR looks at, and they don't tend to make decisions till after the year because you're trying to focus on A, winning a championship, and B, you have your sponsors association set up for 2017 and beyond. I do know that at Team BKR we have good sponsors for the 19 and 29 set up for 2017 and beyond, and I know there's a pool of drivers that are on a list. To make the announcement now or to make the decision now isn't really relative to our 2016 season.
Yeah.
But there are plans in the works. We do have a department that works on drivers moving forward, and I think that announcement will probably come in December or January.
All right, there you go. We do have more Twitter questions. We'll get to those, and we'll look at what happened at Charlotte Motor Speedway last week when they painted the wall pink for breast cancer awareness. We've got the pink hats here. We've still got more to look ahead at Charlotte this week. It's all coming up on Motorsports Monday. Stay right there.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
In the Outback, we think the best part about racing is the noise, the engine, the pits, and a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. Especially a Kevin Harvick top 10 finish. That's because if Kevin Happy Harvick, driver of the number 4 Chevrolet, places in the top 10 in today's race, there's free bloomin' onions this Monday. So you'll have a happy bloomin' Monday. Only at Outback Steakhouse. Valid with any purchase. One per table. Participation may vary. Registered trademarks used with permission.
MRN On Demand. Listen or watch when you want and where you want. Find all of MRN's original programs in the Media Center at MRN.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Race Day Nation on iHeartRadio. Find NASCAR Live, Motorsports Monday, Winged Nation, NASCAR Coast to Coast, Pod Tracks, Sling and Dirt, The Inside Line, and The Straight Line. Motorsports programs when you want, where you want. MRN On Demand.
I'm Matt DiBenedetto, and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meyer and Woody Kane. I wonder if Woody uses shampoo.
1 to go as the white flag from Andy Holder at the flag stand goes in the air. Here's Suarez back to turn 1.
Dives to the inside of turns 1 and 2. The 24 degrees of banking for Daniel Suarez. Last time onto the back straightaway. He has put on a clinic this afternoon. Daniel Suarez, large and in charge here in the first state of Delaware.
From Monterrey, Mexico, Daniel Suarez dominates at Dover, and he wins the Drive Sober 200 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series for his second career victory.
Alex Hayden, Mike Bagley, and Kurt Becker on the call from the Motor Racing Network on Sunday. The Xfinity Series got pushed there because of rain on Saturday, and Daniel Suarez goes to victory lane for the second time this season, and boy, it couldn't come at a better time for him. Now he and Elliott Sadler have locked their spots into the next round of the chase for the Xfinity side now.
And just what we talked about earlier before the break, we have the gentleman that approached this chase in the Xfinity Series as the highest contender with Eric Jones. 2 races now they've had poor finishes based on not on-track performance, but what goes on elsewhere. In other words, they had fast cars at Kentucky, they wrecked. They had fast cars at Dover, they have issues on pit road. But it's not about performance. It's about execution. And right now, for 2 races in, now Eric Jones has to go to Charlotte and win a race to move forward.
And he'll be very good. They've been very good everywhere. But you're right. He said after the first race, I shouldn't have pushed it that hard. I should have realized more where we were big picture and not taking that risk. But now that's why you find yourself in a situation where you're going to have to really scrap at Charlotte to make things happen. All right. Last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, they had an annual event where they paint the pit wall pink. It's in honor of breast cancer awareness. Jimmy Johnson was there. Mia Hamm was there. We've got some video we can show you of the event. There were breast cancer survivors there. Jimmy on the outside painting, Mia Hamm on the inside there painting, and you see the breast cancer survivors in their pink shirts at the event as well. It's always a cool event, and Elliott Sadler was there as well. We had a chance to talk with him about what it means for him to be there every year.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's at home. You know, she had some complications there and had to have 2 surgeries last week, and we spent a lot of time in the ICU with her, especially my brother and I last week. So she's doing good. She's back home. She's just kind of in the recovery stage now. She couldn't make it down here today, which was tough for her. It's the first one she's ever missed. She loves this track. She loves this race. This is by far her favorite race of the year because of all the breast cancer awareness that is brought to attention around this particular event. So she's in our thoughts and prayers in our mind, and she's here with Hermie and I here today spiritually, and that's all that matters, and hopefully she'll be back here in a couple weeks for the race.
Elliott Sadler talking about what the event means to his mom, who is a breast cancer survivor. He always makes sure to participate in that event as well. And what he was describing there, she wasn't under the weather because of the breast cancer issue. It was another issue that she had to be hospitalized for and have some procedures done there, but she is doing much better now. And he said he felt like the win at Kentucky was some pretty good medicine for her, because shortly after that she was released from the hospital.
Yeah, one of the things that NASCAR gets overlooked on a lot of times when you talk about a fan outside of the sport is all you guys do is go fast and turn left. It goes around in circles, and it's a punchline for a number of jokes. But outside of the racetrack, this is just one small example of how the community rallies around NASCAR. NASCAR rallies around the community for very good causes. The entire month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Me personally being involved with it with my family and behind the scenes, it's a great activity to be associated with. And we see how NASCAR and its stars support the awareness there at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and it's a really cool event. Well, I think this was the biggest crowd they've ever had for this event along the way. Blue Cross Blue Shield sponsors the Xfinity race. That'll happen Friday night. Make a note of that, Friday night, not Saturday, Sunday at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They'll both be night races there. We've been talking Xfinity Series race. We also had a chance to catch up with Bubba Wallace talking about the upcoming race Friday night in the Xfinity Series at Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. This is one of my favorite places to race at night. I'd really like to race anywhere at night. Like Martinsville under the lights, how badass would that be? Dover under the lights, that would be sick. We always race at night better than we do it during the day. I don't know if we have a day and night package. It sounds weird, but the track changes so much, and as soon as you see the sun peek behind the clouds, you just know that the track's gaining grip every second. So that's what happened this past weekend in Kentucky. In practice, we were chasing the track so much. I mean, it was cooling off, a couple degrees every 30 minutes or so. So it's just part of it, and we got to be on top of it. But you'll see the top groove come in right up against the wall, and that's one thing that's unique about this place. It's so worn out, and you get to run anywhere you want to. So I'm excited for both races, Friday and Saturday. Friday is the Xfinity race, of course, and then I won't be paying attention on Saturday. It's my birthday, so I'm going to be celebrating there. But good luck to all the drivers in the Cup race.
There you go, Bubba Wallace, who comes in 6th. This will be an elimination race on the Xfinity side. We just saw it on the Cup side at Dover, but they'll go from 12 to 8. Bubba Wallace in 6th spot right now. The last guy in good shape is Brennan Poole, and we just saw earlier that apparently he's going to re-sign with Chip Ganassi Racing for next year.
Yeah, one of the Cinderella stories probably is Blake Cook, Brennan Poole there at the bottom of that cutoff list, but we have the competitors of Ty Dillon and Eric Jones, who have to have not only a decent night, but 0 mistakes, and they have to leapfrog those 7th and 8th place drivers.
Good race and some help.
Absolutely. Eric Jones is, again, the top favorite contender in that entire race, and here he is. He sees him outside the box trying to get inside that top 8 to move forward. And the following races for Kansas, Texas, and Phoenix, where he's going to perform strongly, but he has to get there first. And that's what we've talked about. The experience of these drivers, whether it's the Camping World Xfinity or the Cup Series, is being shown, and the inexperience is showing at the bottom of that list below that red line.
Almost all the guys on the bottom there are very young drivers. Ty Dillon's been around more than a couple of those other guys, but he had the incident with Eric Jones at Kentucky and got himself well back in the field. The problem, though, as you looked at that list, is you see guys having to leapfrog 2 or 3 guys. You'd rather be that last guy, the next guy to move in, because you can count on maybe one guy making a mistake or having some issues. When you start having to count on 2, 3, 4 guys, boy, then the math is against you, as you mentioned earlier.
And Eric Jones doesn't, we can't forget that next year he's not going to be competing for an Xfinity championship because he's going to go run the second team over at the Furniture Row, teammate to Martin Truex Jr. So he will be collecting points over there. So you never know when your last opportunity exists, and you never want to look back and go, man, I wish I could have done something different for that championship. K&N Series, they crowned a champion this weekend, and one of the guys that had won the most races didn't win the championship and was wrecked during one of the races in their series, and that took them out of the contention for championship. So you never want to look back and regret a mistake that you had some input on, and maybe a different decision would have outcome. And right now, Eric Jones is sitting at home going, man, I got to win this race.
What if?
Exactly right, because his driving style and his competitiveness and their performance over at Joe Gibbs Racing isn't holding them back from the championship, but it's everything else that happens.
All right, let's look ahead to the Cup side now. It'll be the first race of the round of 12 on the Sprint Cup side. Jimmy Johnson, as you saw in the video there, was also at the event at Charlotte, so we took the opportunity to ask him what we might expect coming up this Saturday night.
You know, night races here kind of head in a certain direction with the high speeds and track position being a bit more important than during the daytime. But this track is slowly gaining some character, losing some grip, slowing down. Probably one of the best asphalt jobs in the history of racetracks for holding speed in it. I don't know if that's good for a stock car, but we're slowly seeing the decay of the track, which is a good thing for us. I always love coming here. We've had a lot of success at this racetrack, and certainly hope to advance into the next round and come here to one of our best tracks and try to get a win.
You know, Jimmy used to always say, people would say, well, it favors him the way the Chase is set up. It seemed like all the tracks in the Chase were very good tracks for him. Dover, he has 10 wins, leads a bunch, but then makes a mistake on pit road, the team does, that holds them back. This, to me, is the difference in what we've seen. They've had speed at times. They've gotten more of it toward the end of the season, but the mistakes that they didn't used to make, they seem to be making more frequently now.
Yeah, we've talked about on this show a number of times that this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series especially is about people and the team. And what we saw a couple of weeks ago is Jimmy Johnson, who's part of the team, make a pit road speeding error. The following week they show up at New Hampshire and practice pit road speeds, and he didn't have any problems. Yesterday, a simple idea of a crewman jumping off the wall a split second too early was captured by the NASCAR cameras, and that's a penalty, over the wall too soon. Okay, but he's able to get away with it because the field is so large of 16 drivers that even if you're in the middle of the pack, you can still move on. But now what we see is the next 3 races. We've got Charlotte, Kansas, and Talladega. You can't afford to lay up at any of those races and then show up to Talladega expecting you're going to lay up because it's too much of an unknown. It's a wild card.
That's where the trucks find themselves now.
Exactly right. And so you have to be able to perform at Charlotte and Kansas and get that win early. The 2 drivers that will get the win early can go to Talladega, as we heard Martin Truex say. You don't want to show up there having to try to lay up because it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, it certainly is. And as Jimmy said, he's been very good at Charlotte over the years. Not as much since the repave there, but dominant in many years before that. Martin Truex Jr., very good there. He's good at Kansas as well, as we heard in his interview with Winston Kelly. A number of guys who have really good mile-and-a-half programs are going to be eager to try and make something happen here in the first 2 races of this round.
Yeah, and these next 2 tracks with Charlotte and Kansas are really good racetracks for the version 1 of our low downforce package to be able to run from the very bottom up against the wall for the entire afternoon or the entire night, as we're going to experience Saturday night at Charlotte. It's a very good racetrack to where you can pass if your car's better, and if you're a little slower, you need to be on the defense. It's not going to be a follow the leader train as we've seen years past with the old package.
All right, we got another question on Twitter. You can use that Ask MRN radio handle. Mine is at WY Kane. His is at 2, the number 2 spotter. Let's see here. Dan McMichael wants to know, who was the biggest surprise out of Dover? McMurray once again out, Larson falling out, or Dillon making it in? What do you think?
Well, I'm actually going to pick somebody else, and I'm actually going to say my biggest surprise was the mistake on the 48 car. Because we've seen so many mistakes throughout the year, I still am campaigning, not that I want to see them break Dale Earnhardt or Richard Petty's record, but I still think they have the performance capabilities of it. I chuckled all year long when everybody was questioning the performance of Reddick Motorsports, and I said, you're going to see the team that you come to find out in the chase when it starts. And we did. He clearly drove to the front and was leading a very good portion of that race and dominating the cars around him. Truex really wasn't on his bumper for most of the afternoon until the faded pit road error. And that's what surprised me the most, is that those errors under a Chad Knaus-led team, and that's what we have to remember, that he's been the leader of that team since him and Jimmy have been together.
Yeah.
Those mistakes are very uncharacteristic. Did I get surprised that McMurray missed the chase? Not so much that he missed it, but how he missed it, because he was in the chase if his motor doesn't blow up.
Right, he was running really well at the end of the season.
They were doing exactly what he had planned on doing. but they simply didn't have enough cushion for the mistake. So that wasn't really a surprise. Dillon getting in because the other two had problems, not really a surprise. Dillon ran good enough to capitalize on their mistakes.
Yeah.
But the single, so everybody had, when the one car had a problem, it affected the three, but the 48 simply affected themselves, and that's actually what surprised me the most.
I think for me the big surprise is that not one but both Ganassi cars didn't advance. Many people were considering Kyle Larson the dark horse to maybe challenge for a championship. He got his win late in the season, seemed to be contending more often. It seemed that they had turned the program around and they were moving in the right direction. Many people had him picked as a dark horse to contend for a championship. So I'm not necessarily considering one of those, but that both of them got knocked out, that is something of a surprise.
Yeah, Larson was a little bit disappointing because he was coming up to a track at Charlotte, Kansas, Texas, and Homestead, where running against the wall will get you to victory lane, and he's the best at it currently.
You talked about that last week.
That's it.
All right, one more break here on Motorsports Monday. We'll take more of your Twitter questions along the way and continue to look ahead at Charlotte.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. The grill is hot and the cooler is cold at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join us each weekend as your host and head chef Rob Tanner serves up the hottest hits and country music, and Steve Post drops by with NASCAR news straight from the sport's top garages and shops. We have 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound, getting you ready for NASCAR racing. Rev up your weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA.
Motor Racing Network has a way for you to reach out and express your thoughts and opinions on NASCAR. It's the MRN Fan Forum Hotline.
Wondering what's the first thing you tend to think of? I was curious about those new rules from what I heard.
Call in 844-4-ASK-MRN. Got a question or comment for a driver or MRN personality? 844-4-ASK-MRN.
You guys keep it on. Let's see you guys next
It's the
weekend.
Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to the sport of NASCAR.
From work life to nightlife, from home to the road, your day can take you anywhere. These fast-paced times call for Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Advanced Comfort is designed to keep up with you, no matter where you go or what you're doing. They're made with 20% stronger denim and 4-way flex technology that moves with you. Wrangler Advanced Comfort. Go anywhere, look great, and be comfortable. Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans. Try on a pair today.
Hey, this is Joey Logano. You're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meyer and Woody Kane. This show still exists?
A few months back in Michigan when we got our first win, I felt like we have the fastest car out there in the long run. We made some mistakes with the pit road speed penalty. We had some issues with transmission, and even with that, we were able to overcome. So yeah, we had super strong cars in the past. But sometimes it's not just to put a strong car together. You have to put the whole race together. And today's race, it just worked out very well.
And the most important thing, you are now locked in to the next round of the chase. Your thoughts and feelings on that as we go to Charlotte?
That's something really good. It just gives us more confidence and a little bit more relaxed. We know that we're strong in Charlotte, so now we can go out there, try to enjoy the race a little bit more on the relaxed side, and try to get a win. But you know what? I really wanted to win that monster. So finally, I got that little guy going home with me.
He got the little guy going home with him, just like one of these. How about that? Daniel Suarez, it's great to see, because if you look at it now with William Byron heading over to Hendrick Motorsports, Daniel Suarez is really the future on the Toyota camp in terms of guys, for lack of a better phrase, in the bullpen moving forward.
One of the things he mentioned that's so clearly evident with the young drivers, you look back at his last 5 performances, you've got a first, a second, a fourth, a 8th, a third, and a 4th. Intermixed with a 30th and a 23rd and a 30th at Iowa. And those are the peaks and valleys that, as the younger kids gain more experience, we've talked about it the entire show, they will level that out and make themselves more competitive throughout these chases as they go on.
One other thing we need to mention that's going to come up at Charlotte Motor Speedway this week that you've been participating in, the old Better Half Dash, Legends cars featuring wives, girlfriends, significant others of drivers and crew chiefs and whatnot. That thing has gotten pretty popular.
Yeah, Motor Racing Outreach, MRO.com, is a great sponsor and a supporter of the Better Half Dash. It's a great time had by all to watch people that are normally not behind the wheel of a race car have the opportunity to sit in a bandolero and compete. And once the girls get on a helmet and a fire suit, man, they're as fiery competitive as anybody.
Aren't they?
I'm getting
It's something.
Yeah, we've given our girls 3 different practice sessions in the last 2 weeks. We have another one tonight to finish up with procedures, learning how the flags work and where the lights are on the track and everything. And then we actually have our race on Thursday. It's a 25-lapper.
Boy, and have you ever spotted for something like this before?
No, actually, my first time for the Better Half Dash. I'm looking forward to it. But it's interesting during practice when a girl, our driver, catches another driver, like, what do I do?
Pass him.
Yeah, well,
or pass her.
Yes, so it's interesting to just learning. The learning curve on it is very impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. A lot of activities going on at Charlotte Motor Speedway this week. Of course, as we mentioned, October Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Don't forget, Austin Dillon is going to be the guest on NASCAR Live at 7 Eastern on Tuesday night, but you can talk to him earlier. We're going to record that interview at 1:30 Tuesday afternoon. Call 800-262-7227 or send your question using the hashtag AskMRN. Lots of activities at Charlotte. Xfinity Friday night, Cup on Saturday night. I'm Woody. He's Joey. We'll see you right back here next Monday for another edition of MRN Motorsports Monday. Join us, folks. Tell your friends. Please come along.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in again next Monday at noon Eastern for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center. Or you can download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.